There was a time when vans, also known as pickup trucks, were as much a part of American life as powerful muscle cars, long-haul trucks, and chrome-trimmed full-size sedans. Those days are long gone. But today vans continue to haul goods, carry construction materials, and are used for traveling and even living. The number of these vehicles at various themed gatherings could still be the envy of many other areas of automotive culture in the new world. Welcome to a new video. Today we'll learn about the history of Chevy GMC vans. Stay until the end because you'll be amazed. If you like this type of content, subscribe to our channel. It's free. Now let's begin. Although all of Detroit's major manufacturers produced vans at different times, the contribution of Chevrolet and GMC to this segment over the years is undeniable. Today we'll focus on vehicles from the General Motors Group, which from the 1960s to the present day has produced a wide variety of models, trim levels, and body styles, making it difficult to understand them all at once. GM's first attempt in this direction was the Greenbrier model, based on the rear-engine Chevrolet Corvair, launched in 1961. However, this approach, with certain European influences, quickly ended in 1965. A year earlier, in 1964, the first platform designed specifically for vans was launched, called the G Series, not to be confused with the famous G-body architecture used in mid-size passenger cars. In 1964, the new van, called the Chevy Van and factory-coated G10, was a cargo vehicle with a unibody body, or more precisely, a support frame fully integrated into the body. It had a standard load capacity of 1090 kilograms, 2,500 pound-b, and a cargo compartment of 6 cubic meters, 16 cubic feet. The G10's nominal load capacity was half a ton, although the maximum permitted weight for the model was set at 2,267 kilograms, 5,000 pound-b. A reinforced rear axle was optionally available, increasing the actual load capacity to 1,300 kilograms, 2,900 pounds-z. The G10, with a single 228-centimeter wheelbase, featured a mid-engine layout. The engine was located between the front seats and offset toward the rear axle. In 1964, two engines were offered, a 90 or 120 horsepower inline six-cylinder engine, available standard with a 3-speed manual gearbox. A 2-speed automatic transmission was also available as an option, which was logical, as Americans have always valued comfort in vehicles, even the most utilitarian ones. Interestingly, the basic Chevy van was offered with only one seat, the driver's. For an additional cost, a passenger seat, and an upgraded interior with high-quality vinyl upholstery, and even a two-tone steering wheel could be added. The following year, 1965, the G10 was available not only in a cargo version, but also in a passenger version called the Sport Van. A similar GMC model was known as the Handy Van. The engine range was complemented by a 140 horsepower, 3.8-liter six-cylinder engine, in addition to the windowed body style and a variety of interior seating configurations. Sport vans were available in 15 solid body colors and 13 two-tone paint schemes. The second generation of G-Series vans debuted in 1967 and featured a more convex windshield and an expanded options list. It was now possible to order a model with a wheelbase extended to 274 centimeters. A 5-liter, 200-horsepower small-block V8 engine was also available. Optional roof-mounted air conditioning and vacuum brake booster were offered for passenger sport vans. Furthermore, the lineup was expanded with a heavier version, the G20, with a nominal payload of 3/4 of a ton and a maximum permissible weight of 2,812 kilograms. The final release of the second generation, in 1970, offered the famous small-block 350 engine with a 4-chamber carburetor and an output of 255 horsepower, which was clearly excessive for a vehicle with a high center of gravity, archaic suspension, and the aerodynamics of a kiosk. Third generation and van culture. In 1971, the third generation of General Motors vans was produced and remained on the assembly line until 1996. These vehicles increased significantly in size across all dimensions, and customers could choose from 3 wheelbase options, 279, 317 and 370 centimeters. Although the body was load-bearing, with the frame integrated into the cab, the base and suspension were unified with those of the CKK series vans. Furthermore, the design adopted the familiar front engine layout. The vans had a small hood for daily engine maintenance, and a removable cover on the cab between the front seats allowed greater access to the engine. The design also changed in line with company trends and was reminiscent of the second and third generation SK series vans, depending on the year of manufacture. The engine lineup for Chevy and GMC SUVs and sport utility vehicles expanded significantly, incorporating a variety of engines from a 4.1-liter inline-six to a 5.7-liter V8. In 1976, the 6.6-liter small block 400 engine also became available, and in 1982, a high-torque 6.2-liter diesel V8 appeared, ideal for hauling heavy loads or towing. It was in the 1970s that van popularity peaked in the United States. Automotive magazines began regularly publishing articles on new developments in the van segment, contributing to the formation of a subcultural phenomenon called vanning. Van enthusiast clubs grew rapidly, and by 1973 the first national gathering, the National Truck-In, was held in Colorado, attended by around 1,000 van enthusiasts from across the United States. The National Truck-In continues to be held annually to this day. The most important role in shaping van culture was played by the possibility of complete customization, facilitated by the manufacturers themselves, including Chevrolet. They offered so-called conversion vans, completely empty vehicles, which buyers took to specialized workshops, where they commissioned a configuration specific to their needs. Hence the enormous variety both exterior and interior. Customers could choose any configuration of side windows and paint, even artistic designs. The possibilities for the interior were virtually endless. The choice of trim materials, the number and arrangement of seats were left to the customer's imagination. It was also possible to equip the vehicle with anything one could wish for, from an audio system to a portable kitchen module. Camper vans were built based on these vans. For those who needed greater comfort on long trips, so-called raised roofs or boats were offered, where the metal roof was cut away and a plastic panel installed to increase the volume of the interior space and add windows and hatches. Occasionally, General Motors collaborated with third-party companies to create special editions of its vehicles, including vans. For example, in 1976, to commemorate the 200th anniversary of the signing of the United States Declaration of Independence, the GMC Freedom 76 van was produced in a limited edition of 500 units. The model's conversion was completed by Leisure and Recreational Products of Wisconsin, whose specialists not only applied patriotic livery to the body and installed side exhaust pipes, but also outfitted the vehicle with a luxurious interior that included a television and a cassette sound system. The van was also equipped with an adjustable steering column, cruise control, air conditioning, and an electronic horn that played music instead of the usual beeping sound. The 76 Freedom was powered by a 350 small block engine, generating 175 horsepower. Modern minivans and vans. In 1984, Chrysler Corporation introduced the successful Dodge Caravan and Plymouth Voyager, introducing Americans to a new type of transportation, the minivan. In 1985, General Motors launched its response in two versions, the Chevrolet Astro and the GMC Safari. Unlike Chrysler's competitors, which used front-wheel drive, GM's new products were based on the S10 pickup truck platform, with the distinction that the body remained load-bearing and the engine and front suspension hung from a separate subframe attached to the body. Two engines were available, a 2.5-liter inline-4 with 98 horsepower and a 4.3-liter V6 with 165 horsepower in the carburetor version, and 200 horsepower in the TBI fuel-injected version, which appeared a few years later. In 1990, an all-wheel drive version of the minivan was also launched, providing greater safety on winter roads and rough terrain. 2 years later, optional 3-leaf rear doors appeared, adding convenience when loading the trunk. In 1995, the second generation of the Astro was launched, differing from the first primarily in its exterior appearance and safety systems, such as the passenger airbag and optional 4-wheel disc brakes. Meanwhile, the full-size vans of the third-generation G Series, launched in 1971, evolved slowly. In 1988, for the first time, a fuel-injected 7.4-liter big block engine with torque exceeding 500 Nm was offered for heavy-duty, 1.5-ton modifications. This way, the factory options amply covered any need, even for the most demanding customers. Numerous conversion companies could also cater to every need, whether a refrigerated truck for transporting goods or a comfortable camper van for family trips across the country. At the end of production in the mid-1990s, and following the trends, all vehicles began to be equipped with ABS and airbags, albeit only on the driver's side. It wasn't until 1996 that the already obsolete G-Series vans were replaced by new models. The Chevrolet Express and GMC Savana, offered in 3 versions: cargo, passenger, and the so-called cab chassis, which was a semi-finished product with a cab on a bare frame. In addition to aesthetic changes in line with modern design trends, the main differences from their predecessors were the desire to increase passenger comfort and the amount of interior space. For example, the front wheels were moved 25 centimeters closer to the bumper, and the engine cover was reduced in size. Throughout the model's existence, the engine range has continually expanded, from the 2.8-liter Duramax inline-4 diesel to the powerful 345 horsepower, 8.1-liter gasoline V8 that appeared in 2001. From the factory, the Express and Savana were available with long wheelbases of 343 or 394 centimeters. The short 282 centimeter wheelbase remained available only for the Astro and Safari minivans. Overall, despite the fact that the classic G-Series was split in 2 directions, the essence remained the same. The customer received a van for their own tasks. While the younger model remained a family vehicle for the city, the older was intended for any use. From a work vehicle for delivering goods to supermarket chains to the most comfortable mobile office with an endless list of options. Unfortunately, General Motors failed to overtake Chrysler Corporation in the minivan segment using only a slightly modified station wagon architecture. The corporation then decided to try again, completely rethinking the idea. Thus in 1990 the world saw the Chevrolet Lumina Up EV. Although this new product entered the same market niche as the Astro Safari, it was based on the front-wheel drive modular U-body platform, on which numerous vehicles were produced. Notably, the car was based on a steel space frame, and the exterior panels were made of fiberglass. This technology was further developed in the Pontiac Fiero, and proved effective in terms of performance characteristics. The engine lineup consisted of V6 engines with displacements, ranging from a modest 3.1 to 3.8 liters, with power outputs of up to 170 HP, making the model the most powerful minivan produced in the first half of the 1990s. However, it was no longer able to compete with Chrysler Corporation, and in 1996 production was reduced, and the Tarrytown plant, where these vehicles were assembled, was slated for demolition. The next attempt was the Chevrolet Venture, which had a classic steel body without fiberglass technology and was produced until 2005 with varying success. However, this attempt by GM to maintain its share of the minivan market was also unsuccessful, despite the fact that Chrysler not only sold this concept successfully for decades, but the corporation itself, largely thanks to minivans, stayed afloat in the late 1980s and 1990s. This is a brief history of General Motors vans, from the incredibly popular and still classic G-Series vans of the 1970s and 1980s to the less financially successful attempts to compete for a place in the minivan segment. But at least the full-size Chevrolet Express and GMC Savana vans are still produced today and enjoy relatively small but fairly stable demand. Over the past 4 years, from 2020 to 2023 inclusive, GMC vans sold around 90,000 units, while the Express was much more successful. Over 200,000 units were sold in those same 4 years. We've reached the end of this video. Comment in the comments, like the video, subscribe, and activate the bell to enjoy future videos like this one. See you next time.